Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive.
Yeah, this one should be fun.
We're going to be talking about human anatomy,
The foundation of medicine.
the structures that make us who we are.
Um,
I know it can seem a little daunting at first, all those bones, muscles, and organs, but
oh yeah, it is.
trust me, it's fascinating stuff.
Like opening the hood of a high-performance car.
Ooh, I like that.
You're about to discover how all the pieces work together.
To keep the system running.
To keep us going.
And just imagine,
What's that?
soon you'll be the mechanic.
You'll be the one fixing it.
Exactly.
And there are a lot of pieces to this machine.
Our sources dive right into that complexity.
The sheer number of parts is incredible.
We're talking 200 bones,
Over 600 muscles.
79 organs.
And get this.
What's that?
Enough blood vessels to circle the earth twice.
Wow.
Yeah. So how do we even begin?
How do we wrap our heads around all of that?
Well, you need the right tools.
Like any good mechanic.
And in anatomy, the tools are the fundamental concepts.
And the terminology and
Our sources emphasize mastering these basics.
like anatomical planes.
And directional terms.
Because they're the language you'll be using every day.
In medical school and your practice.
So it's like learning the alphabet before you can read a book.
Exactly.
And instead of letters,
It's terms like superior,
inferior,
lateral,
medial.
all
I
those.
remember struggling with those at first.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a new vocabulary.
You have to think of it this way.
How else would you accurately describe a patient's symptoms?
Or pinpoint the location of an injury.
You can't.
Precision is key in medicine.
It all starts with clear communication.
So we've got our anatomical language down.
What's next?
Well, our sources suggest thinking about anatomy from two main perspectives.
Okay, I'm listening.
Macroscopic and microscopic.
Oh,
Macroscopic, or gross anatomy, focuses on the bigger picture.
the structures we can see with the naked eye.
So things like bones,
Well,
soul, organ,
The stuff you'd see if you were dissecting a body.
and I'm assuming microscopic anatomy zooms in on the cellular level, the
Exactly.
tissues and
It
cells.
requires a microscope to visualize.
We'll get into that a bit later.
For now, let's stick with the macroscopic.
That's good.
So within macroscopic anatomy,
Yes.
our sources highlight two main approaches,
I'm ready.
regional and systemic.
Okay, so regional anatomy is kind of like breaking the body down into familiar sections.
Yeah, like the upper limb,
Lower limb.
trunk, neck,
Each region is its own little world.
with its own unique set of bones, nerves,
Blood vessels.
everything, like a little self-contained unit.
I'm starting to see how this approach could be helpful.
For organizing all this information,
It's like studying a map.
region by region,
But I imagine each region has its own set of challenges.
and clinical significance.
Absolutely.
For example, the upper limb,
Yeah.
it's home to the brachial plexus,
Oh, yes, the brachial plexus.
a complex network of nerves
That could be easily injured.
leading to a variety of symptoms.
As future doctors, you'll need to understand these vulnerabilities
To accurately diagnose.
and treat your patients.
That's the goal, right?
Exactly.
So it's not just about memorizing parts.
Right.
It's about understanding the clinical relevance of each structure.
And its potential impact on a patient's health.
That's what matters.
And that's where systemic anatomy comes in.
Yes, instead of focusing on regions, this approach looks at the body's organ systems,
And their functions.
regardless of location.
So instead of just the arm, we're talking about the entire musculoskeletal system,
Exactly.
the circulatory system,
The respiratory system.
the digestive system,
All these intricate networks working together to keep us alive.
and functioning.
That's the key.
Okay, so we've got two main ways of looking at the macroscopic level.
That's regional and systemic.
Both are important.
And both have their own clinical implications.
What else should our aspiring doctors keep in mind as they begin their anatomy journey?
Well, anatomy isn't just about memorizing names and locations.
It's about understanding the relationships between structures,
How they function together.
how they impact a person's overall health.
It's the bigger picture.
So it's more than just a textbook exercise.
Right.
It's about applying that knowledge to real-world scenarios
Like diagnosing a patient's pain.
or understanding the mechanics of movement.
Exactly.
It's about seeing the human body as a dynamic.
Interconnected system.
And that's where things get really interesting.
That's where the fun begins.
I can't wait to explore those connections.
Me too.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
What's with that?
let's delve deeper into these two approaches.
Regional and systemic anatomy.
Where should we start?
Good question. Let's start with regional anatomy, since it's often how anatomy is taught in medical school. It's a logical way to break down the complexity of the body, focusing on one region at a time.
Okay, so imagine we're in an anatomy lab, scalpel in hand, Which region do we tackle first?
Well, many courses start with the upper limb. It's a great introduction to the musculoskeletal system with a fascinating interplay of bones, muscles, nerves, and blood vessels.
Our sources mention the brachial plexus, a network of nerves responsible for sensation and movement in the arm and hand. What makes this region so clinically relevant?
The brachial plexus is particularly vulnerable to injury, especially during trauma or childbirth. Imagine a patient comes in with numbness or weakness in their hand. Understanding the anatomy of the brachial plexus allows you to trace the path of the nerves, pinpoint potential sites of compression or damage, and guide your diagnosis and treatment.
Wow, so it's like detective work. We're using our knowledge of anatomy to solve a medical mystery. What other surprises await us in the upper limb?
Well, think about how intricate hand movements are. Everything from writing to playing the piano, that complexity is reflected in the anatomy of the hand with its intricate arrangement of bones, joints, and tendons.
Our sources mention something called the carpal tunnel, a narrow passageway in the wrist. Why is that significant?
The carpal tunnel houses the median nerve, which provides sensation to the thumb, index, middle, and part of the ring finger. When this nerve gets compressed, it can lead to carpal tunnel syndrome, a common condition causing pain, numbness, and tingling in the hand.
As a future doctor, I can see how understanding the anatomy of the carpal tunnel would be crucial for diagnosing and treating this condition. So we've explored the upper limb. What about the lower limb? What makes that region unique?
Well, the lower limb is all about locomotion, walking, running, jumping. It's home to some of the strongest muscles in the body, including the gluteus maximus, the hamstrings, and the quadriceps.
Our sources mention the sciatic nerve, the longest and widest nerve in the body, which runs from the lower back down the leg. What makes this nerve so clinically significant?
The sciatic nerve is responsible for sensation and movement in the leg and foot when it's compressed or irritated. It can lead to sciatica, a condition characterized by pain that radiates down the leg. Understanding the course of the sciatic nerve is essential for diagnosing and managing this common problem.
So whether it's carpal tunnel syndrome in the upper limb or sciatica in the lower limb, knowing the regional anatomy is key for understanding these common conditions. What about the trunk? What's going on in that region?
The trunk houses many vital organs protected by the rib cage and the powerful muscles of the back. Understanding the layers of muscles and fascia is crucial for diagnosing and treating back pain, a common complaint that can significantly impact a patient's quality of life.
Our sources highlight the importance of the abdominal cavity, which contains organs like the stomach, intestines, liver, and spleen. What are some key considerations for this region?
Well, imagine you're evaluating a patient with abdominal pain. Knowing the location and relationships of these organs is essential for interpreting their symptoms. For example, pain in the upper right quadrant might suggest a gallbladder issue, while pain in the lower left quadrant could indicate diverticulitis.
It's like piecing together a puzzle using anatomical knowledge to guide our clinical reasoning. What about the thorax, the chest cavity? What vital structures reside there?
The thorax is the epicenter of the circulatory and respiratory systems. It houses the heart, lungs, and major blood vessels like the aorta and the vena cava. Understanding the anatomy of this region is crucial for interpreting heart sounds, diagnosing respiratory conditions, and managing cardiovascular emergencies.
Our sources mention the importance of the pericardium, a sac-like structure surrounding the heart. What's its function?
The pericardium protects the heart and helps to reduce friction during its contractions, but it can also be involved in various conditions such as pericarditis, inflammation of the pericardium, which can cause chest pain and other complications.
Okay, so we've covered the limbs, the trunk, and the thorax. That leaves us with the head and neck. What are some highlights of this region from a clinical perspective?
The head and neck contain a complex interplay of bones, muscles, nerves, and sensory organs. Think about the delicate structures of the eye, the intricate pathway of the ear, the vital blood vessels supplying the brain. Understanding this anatomy is crucial for managing head injuries, diagnosing vision and hearing problems, and treating conditions affecting the throat and neck.
Our sources mention the carotid arteries, which supply blood to the brain. What makes these arteries so important?
The carotid arteries are the lifeline of the brain. Blockage of these arteries can lead to a stroke, a potentially life-threatening condition that can cause permanent brain damage. As future doctors, you'll need to be able to assess these arteries and recognize the signs of stroke to provide timely intervention.
So we've explored the body, region by region, highlighting the clinical relevance of each area. It's clear that regional anatomy provides a solid foundation for understanding how the body works and how to diagnose and treat a wide range of conditions. What about the systemic approach? How does that perspective complement our understanding? So regional anatomy gave us a great roadmap, breaking down the body into those manageable sections. But now I'm really curious to explore the systemic approach. How does understanding the body's systems, deepen our knowledge as future doctors?
Okay, well, think of it this way. Regional anatomy is like knowing the neighborhoods of a city, while systemic anatomy is understanding the city's infrastructure, like its transportation, its communication, its power grid. Both are essential for navigating the city.
Right, that's a great analogy. So we're moving from the individual regions to these interconnected networks that span the entire body.
Mhm.
Where should we start our exploration of these systems?
Well, we can't talk about the human body without talking about the framework that holds it all together, the musculoskeletal system.
Right, our sources highlight the incredible feat of engineering that is our skeleton 200 bones, acting as a framework for support, protection, and movement. It's like our own internal scaffolding.
And it's not just about providing structure. Our bones are living tissues, constantly remodeling themselves in response to stress and injury. As future doctors, you'll need to understand these processes to diagnose and manage conditions like osteoporosis fractures and arthritis.
Our sources also describe muscles as pulley systems. Can you unpack that for us?
Sure, imagine a rope and pulley system lifting a heavy object. Muscles work in a similar way, attaching to bones via tendons and contracting to create movement. Each muscle has a specific action working in concert with other muscles to produce a wide range of motion.
So it's like a carefully choreographed dance with each muscle playing its part. Imagine understanding these muscle groups and their actions is crucial for diagnosing and treating musculoskeletal injuries.
Absolutely. Think about a runner with knee pain. Knowing which muscles support and stabilize the knee joint allows you to pinpoint potential weaknesses or imbalances and guide your treatment plan.
So I've got the framework and the movers. What about the control center, the nervous system?
Ah, yes. The nervous system is like the body's high-speed communication network, receiving information from the environment and sending signals to muscles and organs to orchestrate a coordinated response.
Our sources mention that nerves transmit electrical impulses. It sounds incredibly complex.
It is, imagine a vast network of wires carrying messages throughout the body. That's essentially what the nervous system does. It's responsible for everything from conscious movements to unconscious reflexes, from sensing pain to experiencing emotions.
As future doctors will need to understand this intricate network to diagnose and manage a wide range of neurological conditions.
Exactly. Think about a patient experiencing numbness or weakness in their leg. Knowing the pathways of the nerves allows you to determine if the problem originates in the brain, the spinal cord, or the peripheral nerves.
Okay, we've covered the framework, the movers, and the control center. What about the systems that keep us fueled and functioning, the circulatory and respiratory systems?
Right, those are key. These systems are like the body's delivery and waste removal services, constantly working to maintain that delicate balance.
Our sources mention the heart pumps 5 liters of blood every minute. It's mind-boggling to think about that continuous flow.
It is, and as future doctors, you'll be assessing cardiac output regularly. Understanding what influences this 5-liter per minute flow is critical for identifying potential cardiac issues. Imagine a patient with shortness of breath. Could it be a problem with the heart's pumping ability, a blockage in the arteries, or an issue with the lungs' capacity to exchange oxygen?
Wow, so many possibilities. It's like putting together a complex puzzle considering all the interconnected systems.
And don't forget about the respiratory system's role in maintaining this balance. The lungs are responsible for taking in oxygen essential for cellular function and removing carbon dioxide, a waste product of metabolism. Imagine a patient with pneumonia. Their ability to exchange gases is compromised, which can impact the entire body.
So the circulatory and respiratory systems are like partners in crime working together to ensure every cell gets what it needs. What about the digestive system? How does that fit into the picture?
The digestive system is like a complex processing plant, breaking down food into nutrients that can be absorbed and used by the body.
Our sources describe the digestive tract as a 7.5-meter journey from mouth to well. What happens along this incredible pathway?
Each section of the digestive tract has a specific function, from the stomach's churning and acid production to the small intestine's intricate folds that maximize absorption. Understanding this process is essential for diagnosing and managing digestive disorders from GERD to inflammatory bowel disease.
So we've got the fuel coming in and being processed. What about the waste removal system? That's where the urinary system comes in, right?
Exactly. The urinary system is responsible for filtering waste products from the blood and excreting them as urine. The kidneys are the stars of this show, working tirelessly to maintain fluid balance, regulate blood pressure, and even produce hormones.
Our sources mentioned the kidneys filter about 180 liters of fluid every day. That's an incredible workload.
It is, and when the kidneys are compromised, it can have a cascading effect on the entire body.
Hmm.
Imagine a patient with kidney failure. Their ability to filter waste products is diminished, which can lead to a buildup of toxins and imbalances in electrolytes.
So we've got the fuel coming in, the nutrients being delivered, the waste being removed. What about the system that ensures the continuation of the human race?
Ah, yes, the reproductive system, a marvel of complexity and elegance with distinct male and female components designed for the production, nourishment, and development of offspring.
Our sources mentioned the incredible hormonal dance that orchestrates reproduction. It's amazing to think about how these tiny chemical messengers can drive such profound changes in the body.
It is understanding the anatomy and physiology of the reproductive system is crucial for managing a wide range of conditions, from infertility to sexually transmitted infections to pregnancy and childbirth.
And last but not least, we have the lymphatic system, often overlooked, but vital for immunity and fluid balance.
The lymphatic system is like a parallel network to the circulatory system, collecting excess fluid from tissues and returning it to the bloodstream. It also houses immune cells that patrol the body, defending against infections and diseases.
So our sources mentioned the lymph nodes, small bean-shaped structures that act as filters, trapping pathogens and activating immune responses.
Imagine the lymph nodes as security checkpoints, constantly scanning for anything suspicious. Swollen lymph nodes can be a sign of infection, inflammation, or even cancer. So understanding their role is crucial for diagnosis and treatment.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today exploring the interconnectedness of the human body from both regional and systemic perspectives. It's clear that these two approaches complement each other, providing a comprehensive understanding of how this incredible machine works.
Absolutely. As future doctors, you'll be constantly drawing on this knowledge, weaving together the regional and systemic perspectives to diagnose, treat, and care for your patients.
It's a lot to take in, but also incredibly inspiring. It's like we've been given a glimpse into the inner workings of a masterpiece.
And remember, this is just the beginning of your journey into the fascinating world of human anatomy. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and never lose your sense of wonder.
Well said. This deep dive has definitely fueled my curiosity and my excitement for the journey ahead. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening and keep on learning.